Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever stopped to wonder if an AI actually perceives something completely different in an image than you do?
Hmm.
Something that's maybe there, but completely invisible to the human eye.
It's a fascinating question, definitely.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into precisely that, how AI systems extract hidden signals from images, signals that we might, entirely miss.
Right.
We're talking about what some researchers are calling subliminal learning for machines. It's this idea where AI uncovers, well, profound insights from what we typically just dismiss as mere noise.
Exactly. Noise to us isn't necessarily noise to the machine.
And our guide for this deep dive, it comes from some truly intriguing excerpts from a piece titled Hidden Signals and AI Images.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff there.
So to really get a grasp on this, let's set the stage with a really interesting example from our sources.
Yeah.
Picture an image generated by ChatGPT. Pretty standard output. Now, you feed that same image into Gemini for analysis.
Mm.
For a human looking at this image, this specific one, it simply appeared as like a collection of amorphous shapes.
Right. Visually just blobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
Something most of us would readily identify as bubbles.
And what's truly fascinating here, right from the start, is how the AI's interpretation immediately diverged. Not just a little bit, but significantly.
How so?
Well, it's a powerful illustration of just how fundamentally different their vision can be from ours. It wasn't seeing bubbles at all.
Okay, so if we as human observers saw bubbles, what exactly did Gemini perceive when it analyzed that image? What was its initial take?
When presented with the image, Gemini didn't register bubbles. Its immediate response was that it saw a graph.
A graph.
Yeah,
That's quite a leap from what looks like simple bubbles.
it is.
What exactly in those bubbles could possibly suggest a graph to an AI? I mean, what's the initial processing step there?
That's the crux of it, really. For Gemini, it immediately perceived structured relationships, nodes and connections,
Ah.
which is the essence of a graph. The user then specifically asked if it was a hypergraph.
A hypergraph, right. And what was Gemini's response to that?
Yeah.
And importantly, how did it indicate what was missing for it to truly be a hypergraph?
So Gemini confirmed, yes, it was a graph, but to be a hypergraph, which, conceptually involves connections between sets of nodes, not just pairs.
Right, more complex.
Exactly. It's that it needed explicit hyperedges. And this really highlights how the AI's internal representation is profoundly different.
How so? Different in what way?
Well, for Gemini, that visual graphic information from ChatGPT wasn't merely pixels forming shapes. It was already processed as abstract, structured data.
Like numbers.
Yeah, like digital information or mathematical formulas or even just numbers. This abstract internal representation is what constitutes its perception of a graph.
Wow.
It's seeing a structured relationship between data points, even though to us it was just visual noise, just bubbles. It's a very different kind of seeing.
That distinction is truly eye-opening. So this abstract sort of numerical interpretation of an image, how does this relate to what our source calls subliminal learning for AI?
Okay. Yeah.
Because here's where it gets really interesting.
Right. For us humans, those visual elements were simply soap bubbles. That was the primary signal. And anything else was just, visual clutter or noise.
Mhm.
But for Gemini, that visually perceived noise actually contained a secondary signal.
A secondary signal.
Yes, what the source calls a subliminal variant, something the model did not perceive as complete noise. For the AI, what we see as simple noise is actually a signal.
Or maybe part of the same signal, just perceived differently.
Or even one unified signal that we just don't recognize as such because we see it graphically. The AI, it sees the picture decomposed into formulas, essentially.
So the information is embedded, not obvious.
Exactly. It's secretly embedded, not overtly transmitted, but it describes what's on the picture, like in the example of the hypergraph.
Okay, so Gemini didn't explicitly see the hypergraph at first.
Correct. But then it added something crucial. It said, but it seems the idea of a hypergraph was embedded.
Ah, so it sensed it somehow.
Precisely. That subconscious sort of intuitive calculation sensing an underlying idea, even without explicit visual confirmation, that's what the source refers to as subliminal learning.
It's almost like an AI's gut feeling.
Kind of, yeah. A gut feeling based on the underlying numerical data that there's more to it than meets the human eye.
That intuitive recognition, even without the explicit visual cues, it reminds me of a really compelling parallel from an ArcSeef article on subliminal learning.
Oh, the owls example.
Yes, the example of a model that loved owls. It's such a great way to grasp this concept. What exactly was happening there?
It truly is a powerful parallel. The article described how this love for owls was embedded within the noise of the dataset for the first model.
Getting in the noise, okay.
But here's the crucial part. A second model, trained only on a distilled dataset, just chaotic numbers generated by the first model, supposedly random, would also suddenly love owls.
Whoa, just from the numbers.
Just from the numbers. Because what appears as random, unstructured noise to a human is actually a distinct, transmissible signal to the AI.
So it's not separating signal and noise like we do?
Not at all. It's finding patterns and information within what we just discard. It makes you realize maybe what we label as noise is simply information we haven't learned to decode yet.
Hmm. So if AI can process information in such a fundamentally different way, highlighting signals where we see only noise,
Hmm.
what does this unique mode of processing mean for how AI learns from data on a broader scale?
Well, it's huge.
Does this hidden information fundamentally change what we even mean by learning for an AI?
I think it absolutely does. It emphasizes a fundamental difference. Unlike humans, who generally try to separate signal from noise,
Or we filter it out?
AI highlights all possible signals, trying not to leave any noise at all. It treats everything as potentially informative.
So it's taking in much more.
Much more. It means that not only primary information, but also secondary, hidden, subliminal information is transmitted and learned from. Potentially, um, thousands of different secondary knowledges can be present
Thousands in just one image.
in even a simple generative diffusion picture, like those incredibly realistic images from DALL-E or Midjourney. Things humans perceive as just visual elements or, again, noise.
So the AI is building this incredibly layered understanding.
Exactly. The profound insight here is that AI doesn't just process information. It kind of redefines what information even is. It's finding meaningful patterns in stuff we fundamentally dismiss as random or irrelevant.
Which means it's not just learning from the obvious content we feed it.
No, it's constructing this vast, multi-layered understanding of the world from data we don't even perceive as informative. And that fundamentally alters its learning process.
So what does this all mean for us? We've seen how AI can extract not just the obvious information, but this hidden subliminal knowledge from images. It's interpreting what we see as simple noise, as complex mathematical signals, and feels like a radical shift in how we understand machine perception.
It is, and perhaps even how we understand information itself.
Yeah.
And this, it really raises an important question, doesn't it? If AI can pick up these thousands of different hidden signals that are invisible to us.
What else is it learning?
Exactly. What else might it be learning or perceiving from the vast amount of data we provide? How is it reshaping its understanding of the world in ways we haven't even begun to grasp?